Good evening. Thank you for listening and tuning in. This week's Parsha, Parshas Boi, is kind of the somewhat of a culmination of the Geula. Shmois Va'era. Shmois tells us about the suffering and begins to introduce Moshe Rabbeinu to us. In Va'era, of course, the Makkos begin, and the Lashonis of Geula are already mentioned. And in Parshas Boi is the actual Yetzias Mitzrayim. At least the first part of it, until they get to the Yam Suf, takes place. Chassidish Rebbis used to say, Boi is bitachon and emuna. And ultimately that's what the criteria of the Geula was, the bitachon and the emuna. And I think it's not just the criteria, but really with bitachon and emuna, you can free yourself from any tsar in any situation, having the proper mindset. But I want to focus on one of the things that Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Am Yisrael. The Rebbi Shalom gives him the mitzvah, the tzivui of HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem, and tells them what they need to do on that evening of Yetzias Mitzrayim to bring the Karban Pesach, and all of the criteria and all of the particular mitzvahs, what we call Pesach Mitzrayim, putting blood on the doorposts and on the mashkoif and on. And this is going to be the night of their geula. So the Torah tells us, Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Yidden, "V'lakachtem, you should take agudes ezov u'tevaltem badam," right? And you should put it al shtei hamezuzos. And then it says, "Va'atem," and all of you, right? So families gather together to eat the Karban Pesach. Neighbors, Beisavis, whole entire extended families and neighbors got together, and here they all are eating their Karban Pesach. Va'atem loiseitzu ishmi Pesach beisoi ad boiker. That's an interesting thing. Here they are at Chatzos, at midnight. This is their moment of Geula. That's the moment that Paroi comes and says, "Leave, go, you're free, you can go." And their first experience of freedom is what we call a lockdown. You can't move. Nobody can leave. Can't leave your house. This is the first time in their lives they were born into. Most of the people were born into slavery. And imagine now emancipation. You're free. The first thing is I'm free. I don't have to ask you permission. I don't have to ask you. I can just open my door and walk outside and experience the freedom. And yet Moshe Rabbeinu tells them no. Va'atem lo yiseitzu ishmi Pesach beisai. What's the logic behind that? What's the reasoning behind it? How do we understand it? Where is the expression of freedom that should come with this moment of Geula? So I was thinking that there's more than one component to Geula. It's not just about being freed physically. Yes, not having the slave labor, not having someone in control and dictating where you can go, when you can go, and how you can go. Those are all important components of Geula. But the ultimate Geula, the ultimate freedom, is that ability to be a ben chayrin, the ability to create your relationship with the Ribbono Shel Olam and express your feelings and your thoughts and your commitment and your dedication. That's what this Geula was. This wasn't a Geula just to get out of Mitzrayim. It was a Geula to go from really being Avdei Parai to the greatest Geula of Avdei Hashem. Like that's what we say in the Halal of Mitzrayim. We say, right, Avdei Hashem. And it needed to be solidified that the family gets together, and before we go out and express our freedom, to understand the value of this freedom. What are we going to do with our freedom? What value is there to being free? Is it just that you can go out into the street and yell and scream and, oh, hey, we're free. Wow, it's wonderful. But that's celebrating the tuffle and ignoring the ikka. The ikka of the freedom is really an internal process. and it needed introspection. It needed to be talked about, to be planned out properly. What do we do with this freedom? So Moshe Rabbeinu said, the greatest gift that you have is this moment where your families gather together to eat the Karban Pesach, to pledge their emunah and their betachin in the Rebbeinu Shalom. The beginning of becoming that Am Segula. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, hold on to this evening, this precious evening of internal Geula. Lay the plans of how the Geula will express itself from within before you take it to the outside. And maybe that's the secret and the mystery behind V'atem lo yiseitzu ish mi Pesach beisai. Thank you.